And so the product that we're going to be focusing on today, I'll get to in just a moment, but just as an introduction to SalesPad as a company, we are SalesPad Solutions, and what we do is we create enhancements for Microsoft Dynamics GP. And the majority of those enhancements are focused around user-friendly tools that would fit within companies in the operations side of their business. For example, SalesPad, which includes a user-friendly front end that enables users to do sales, order entry, purchase order entry. It really focuses for the customer service type user, visibility into customer information, purchasing data, as well as inventory management. Now, SalesPad is a client type solution, so it actually resides on a desktop or a workstation, laptop, and can be deployed and does not require a Microsoft Dynamics GP user license. Also, we have additional products which support that Dynamics GP solution, as in our email add-in, which is just the quick and easy way to manage emailing in the context of cataloging and scheduling integration with the either SalesPad tool or Dynamics GP, or both. We have the mobile solution we're going to be having a look at today. We have a data collection solution, which is our warehouse management piece, which enables the user through a barcode scanning device to create barcode labels, to be able to collect transactions based on barcode labels, to pick, to pack, to ship, to receive against PO, to make all of your inventory transfers and moves and inventory adjustments, and also do stock counts, part of the GP inventory functionality, but all done on a handheld device walking around the warehouse. We also have a product called Ship2, which is our integration piece between FedEx and UPS and the GP database. And then finally, our card control solution, which supports that merchant who wants to be PCI compliant and provides that secure credit card processing environment. And you can use that solution exclusively with GP or using GP and SalesPad together. So that's kind of a rundown on the products that we offer as a company. Our company has been in business for just about 10 years now, and we really have quite a breadth of customers out there in the marketplace, of which your associates customers are a good share, so we appreciate that. The solution we're focusing on today, however, is the SalesPad mobile solution. We're going to take a look at how we can manage customers' inventory and sales while we're on the go. So many of us are salespeople. I spend a lot of time out in the field myself, and I do use our SalesPad mobile solution. While I'm out in the field, if I need to look up a phone number or enter an order or something of that nature, I use it. So, but to kind of break it down as far as the process today, we're going to take a look at the components of that product first of all. Then we're going to also take a look at the platform. So what does the architecture look like? Very simplified, but still let's talk about it. We're going to talk about how it works, and then we're going to take that demo as a SalesPad mobile walkthrough, and we'll wrap up with questions. Yvette's going to help us out with that as well. So that's kind of what the plan is. So if we were to take a look at the components that make up SalesPad mobile, there are a few different components, and each of these components can be purchased individually, or they can be bundled together as a bundle or a packet. So first of all, we have the customer lookup. Now, what the lookup allows us to do is to review contacts. We can enter contact notes. We can call or email customers and contacts directly from our device using the lookup that's available through Customer Lookup. We can add additional interactions and notes, inquire in existing sales documents. We can review customers' AR position. We can also add or edit customers and contacts as well using that Customer Lookup. Secondly, Inventory Lookup allows us to do things like searching for inventory items, doing inventory inquiries. We can do take a real quick peek at available, on-hand, allocated, back-ordered, and on-order quantities. We can review costs and selling prices. We can see related purchasing as well as sales history data. and also add notes on the fly to our inventory items. Our sales orders, of course, allow us to create and edit orders in the field or review ones that have already been created through someone in the back office who's using either GP or SalesPad. We can work in an unsynced or untethered mode as well. So when service is not available, I can still continue to work. I can still continue to look up information about my customers, enter orders, and then once I return to a service area, then of course that syncing process happens and my database is updated with the most current information based on what I've added while I'm in the field. We can also forward documents to new queues and view details such as our orders on hold, what's the AR position of the customer, and audit trailing and notes that have to do with that particular order. Finally, the Sales Monitor allows us to see the big picture. And if you've ever seen the Sales Monitor in the SalesPad solution itself, you know that it's probably a go-to place for whomever is keeping an eye on the pulse of the business. This allows us to see our orders in their queues and allows us to review the dollars associated with those orders, as well as to initiate transfers from one queue to another when orders are transitioning from one place in the organization to another to perhaps require sign-off or approvals. So that kind of summarizes the different component areas of the mobile solution. Now you can also, each one of those, I should mention, you can purchase individually with the exception of orders. In order to purchase the orders component, it does require that you own the customer and the inventory lookup as well as the sales monitor. And so for that purpose, we've bundled these all together to make it easy for the user to make that purchase to SalesPad Mobile and have everything that you need right at your fingertips. Also, to address the question of platform, and Yvette mentioned this already, but just to kind of reiterate, we do support the operating system, so your iPads, your iPhones are certainly supported with SalesPad Mobile, as well as your Android devices if you have phones or tablets. Now I actually have an iPhone that I have SalesPad Mobile loaded on, and I'll be demonstrating today from my Android tablet. So I've actually tapped into both operating systems into our demo database, and that's what we'll be using today. And in the flyer it was mentioned that there is information about how you can get a demo copy, and I'll just address that right now. You can certainly go out to the application wherever you would normally download an application from on each of the devices and just query on SalesPad, and there will be a download available for you for the SalesPad demo as well. So if you'd like to download that, you can certainly play with our demo database, and that's what I'm going to be showing you our demo in today. And so I'll even show you how to log in, which is very simple once we get to the demo. But how it works, very simply put, because that's as complicated as I can explain it, is very simply. You have a server environment which contains your database. This is where GP resides. This is where all of your customer information, your inventory items, all of your database information is stored on this server environment. There is also a web server that gets loaded, and the web server is actually the component that will be sending your data back and forth bidirectionally from the database out to the mobile device, and then in reciprocating, receiving data back from your mobile device back to the database. How this happens is through this next layer that you see here in the middle called the mobile server, or the user and security management. Through the user and security management, this is where we manage the users and their individual devices and who has access to which of those components that we talked about just previously here. So once all of that information is set up in that user and security management, then that device qualifies to be able to receive data and to send data back to that database. So that's how it's happening. And then we have our little lonely mobile device over here on the right-hand side, which represents us out in the field every day. So that's what we're going to take a look at now in our demo, is taking a look at how SalesPad Mobile can support us when we're out there on the road working with our customers. So I'm going to flip over here to an emulator that I'm using, which is it's just simply an emulator of my Android tablet device, and I have the SalesPad mobile test environment or demo environment loaded. Now when you download yours, you'll see the very same thing that I'm seeing right now, and you'll just want to tap on the Try the Demo button. That's the one on the bottom. When I do this, this is giving me a listing of the different modular areas within the SalesPad mobile product. And as you can see here, we have listed our customers and contacts, which basically those two are working together as part of your customer inquiry module. Then you can see the inventory, as well as sales documents and sales monitor. Also on the upper right-hand side here, I have a menu button, and if I tap on my menu button, I get my navigation ribbon, which pops up. So it's very similar to other mobile apps, and I can't think of many people that I know today who aren't actually running on some type of a mobile device that haven't used an application. But as I was getting used to using SalesPad Mobile, I found it to be like a number of other applications that I've downloaded as well. So we see our navigation ribbon is broken down into different sections. So I can see my navigation, which allows me to tap over into each of these other functional areas. I can see an entry area there near the center, which allows me to do things like creating new customers, creating new contacts, creating new sales documents. And then down toward the bottom, I can see a recent section. Now this is an area which provides threads to areas that I've recently been to, and I was just playing around a little bit before we started our presentation today, so that's why I have a couple of orders and an item and also a customer that's referenced there under my recent section. And if I tap on any one of those, then that will take me to whatever that selection was. So by tapping on Aaron Fitz, that takes me directly to my Aaron Fitz Electrical customer card. But I'm going to hit my back button right now, because I'm also going to go to Aaron Fitz to demonstrate for you how we can do searches of data. Because after all, if I'm on the road and I'm getting ready maybe to make a customer visit, I want to know how to look up information about that customer and get the answers I need before I walk in that door. So I'm going to look up my customer called Aaron Fitz. I just tap on my customers button there, and I can do a real quick search. I'm going to enter a few letters, maybe the first few letters of the name of the customer, and I can see that I'm presented with a choice for Aaron Fitz Electrical. Now down below the customer name, I can see the customer number. And out to the right-hand side, this is the sales rep that's supporting this customer. If I tap on that customer, it then opens for me my customer card. You'll notice that, well, first of all, you'll notice a couple of things. First of all, I have my bill to address, my ship to address, and my customer properties displayed for me. But then also, down at the bottom, I have a series of buttons. Currently, I'm looking at my customer information, so that's why that customer button has kind of a blue color as opposed to being black. I also have a button for documents. These would be all of my open sales documents. I have a button for CRM, and let's just pop in there real quickly. Now this gives me the ability to add notes for this customer. So if I wanted to add a note, I could just tap on that note line, and I can begin entering my note for this customer. So I could say, ship on Monday only. And when I add that note, you'll notice that what's going to happen is it's going to also note the user, which my user is SalesPad, and the date that that note was added for that customer. So now anytime I go back to this customer card, this note then would be present for the customer. And same thing if we're using SalesPad on the workstation client or the laptop client, this note would also be written to the customer's notes. Also, down at the bottom, I have a button for my AR position of this customer, and I can see that they have a total of $24,000 plus outstanding, and of that they have over $19,000 over 181 days, so I might want to be a little bit careful about that. I can see their last invoiced amount, and the last payment that I received from them was $609.75. Their standard terms and also their credit limit. So I've got a little bit of more information here about the customer while I'm sitting out in the car getting ready to walk in the door. You'll notice I also have a little ellipsis button down here in the lower right-hand corner. When I tap on that, I also have additional information about this customer. I have addresses, so if there were multiple addresses for this customer, I would be able to see each of those. I could see any notes, and if I wanted to add an additional note, I could do that here as well. That first note that I entered is actually going to be placed in, if you're a GP expert, that's going to go in that little yellow sticky note beside the customer number in GP. This note will be cataloged in the actual notes for this customer. So maybe I could add a note like, make sure to talk with Bob. And once I add that note again, of course, then this note is date and time stamped. In this case, we're actually time stamping it as well. So any notes that are added, you've got some traceability as far as who added them and when they were added. Also, if I wanted to just do a quick peek at what has this customer purchased in the past, if I tap on that items button, then I can kind of scroll down through and see, well, this customer has ordered several different types of items here, but I've got an actual listing of everything. And if I needed to, I could drill back into the order itself to take a look at a specific order. So that's how quick and easy it is to kind of follow up back through this data. Now, the other thing that I might want to do is look at a specific contact, because maybe I'm sitting out in the car and I'm trying to think, okay, now I'm going in to see Aaron Fitz. Who is it I'm going to see at Aaron Fitz? Again, if I enter in my AA and do search, I can see the two contacts I have here for Aaron Fitz Electrical. And I say, oh, yep, that's right, it was Bob. Bob is the person I wanted to see, and there's Bob's phone number. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and initiate a phone call because I'm sitting outside. Bob, are you at a point where I could visit with you a little bit? And I could make that phone call and get that started right from here. But perhaps now I've walked in the door, I've shook hands with Bob. Bob, you know what? I've noticed I don't have your email address, and I'd like to be able to send you some follow-up information once I get back to the office. I could go into Bob's contact record, and I could do some editing of the contact record itself. So if I wanted to, I could go into the properties of the contact to be able to edit and add email and additional information. Once I finish editing, then I could finish edit, and I could return back either to my contacts, or I could use my thread, which is down at the bottom. Oops, I'm sorry, I was a little bit heavy on the swiping there, to go back to the original customer card for Aaron Fitz Electrical if I wanted to reference some additional information for Aaron Fitz. So maybe now I'm sitting in Bob's office, and he says to me, Lori, I'm interested in placing an order with you, and we need some phones. We need some new phones here in the office. And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, Bob, what kind of phones would you be needing? And he says, you know, because I love St. Patrick's Day, and it's real close to St. Patrick's Day, I'm in a mood for green phones. So I say, well, just a second. Let me just look that up real quickly and see what we have that would be a green phone. So I enter the word green under my inventory lookup, and I can see that we do have a green phone. It's the 100 XLG, and I just happen to have 30 of these on hand, as you can see over here on the right-hand side. And you know what, Bob? I also have some additional accessories that go along with that green phone, too, if you'd be interested in those. And he says, well, I think I might be interested in ordering maybe a couple of green phones and maybe a couple of covers to go over those green phones. So now that I have this information, I can go back to create that order for Bob. I'm just going to start from his customer card. Now, I could have created the order directly from the inventory item, which would have prompted me which customer. This is just a preference for me. I'd go back to my customer, and I could say create order. And then I could choose of the order types that are set up in my GP database, for which I'd like to select my order type, and I'd say to Bob, Bob, would you like to give me a PO number, or do you not use PO numbers? He'd say, oh yes, we need to reference all POs, or our PO number on our invoices, and that number is 456. And I'm going to just make a mental note that I know I have 30 of these, and I want to go ahead and ship these out of my warehouse location. So let me just go down here, because the warehouse location is the nearest to where Aaron Fitz is located. So once I have all of the information populated on the header, let's think of this as the header of the order, then I can go ahead and accept that information, and I'm going to be brought to an order entry window, which allows me to do things like either edit your bill to ship to information, edit the properties that we're looking at on the document, or go about adding items. Now, if I wanted to add that green phone, I could just tap on the Add Item button. I could enter the word green here and do that same lookup. And that should take me to my green phone. I can select my green phone. Now, Bob said that, you know, he really likes me today, so he's going to increase his order to 3 green phones. I can let him know that the unit price on this item for him is $899. He kind of goes back and forth with me on that, and if I needed to, and if I had the authority to do so, I could edit that pricing if need be. So instead of $899, today I'm going to charge Bob $890, and maybe make a comment, customer loyalty discount. Now keep in mind the information that I'm entering into this order is going to be the information that's going to be seen in the back office, whether the order is brought up in SalesPad or in Dynamics GP. It will be this order number as displayed at the top of the order, ORD0001, that's my order number. And the line items that are on the order are displayed directly below the orange button. So I can see my 100 XLG green phone for a quantity of 3. And at $890 each, and my extended price being $2,670. I also have my gross margin information there too. So if I'm a salesperson who needs to keep a watch on my margin, then that's a good place for me to be able to do that as well. Now, if I wanted to add additional items, I could go through that Add Item again. And if Bob wanted to go ahead and order his cases, he could do that here as well. Very quickly, we could order a couple of cases here for him, green covers actually. Let's go ahead and order him 3 green covers and accept that line item, and it's going to add, of course, that second line item to my order also, and we can see that displayed down at the bottom. Now, you do have other buttons here that can be used. We can add multiple items at one time. We can also add recent items. So, for example, if he says to me, Lori, I want to go ahead and purchase something that I purchased previously, maybe a mouse, I could just basically select my quantity for the mouse from this window, and once decided on, I could choose to add that item to the order as well. You can also add pictures to those items so that it gives the user a visual on what's being ordered if you'd like to do that. So now my order has been created. This order then is going to be placed in, if you'll look at that first line there, it's my sales batch called New Order. And from this point, maybe I want to go ahead and actually move this order into a different queue, because I want the folks in the back office to grab this right away and go into picking mode. So if I had possibly maybe I'd want it to go into ready to pick. So I want to communicate that back to the folks in the office, and they might be monitoring their sales monitor and SalesPad so that when a new order pops into the ready to pick queue, they can go out and they can get that order picked for me and get it ready to ship and get it out to Bob as soon as possible. So that's how quick and easy it is to enter an order into SalesPad Mobile, how I can reference information that I need to be able to make decisions. The two functions that are not actually active on our demo database that I'll mention to you here, though, is the ability to capture a signature. So if at any point I wanted to capture Bob's signature on this order through the menu button, which is just not active right now on my demo database, I have an option to capture signature, and then he could just use a stylus to sign his name for the order. And the other option that is not active in this demo database is the credit card capture as well. So those are two things that SalesPad Mobile certainly has the capability to do. Unfortunately, I just can't demo them for you today because of the demo environment is not set up that way. But certainly, if you would like to practice with those, I'd be more than happy to rustle up a live user license for you. So just let us know through your associates rep on that. So that's a little bit on ordering and inventory lookup in SalesPad. We also, of course, have the capability, and let me just back up here a step and go back to my menuing. If I wanted to, I could do a little bit more in-depth lookup of inventory items by just doing a simple inventory lookup. I can do a wide open search and see all of the items on my GP inventory. I could drill back into any one of these items, for example, this 128 SDRAM. If I chose to open up that item, I can see quantities, I can see my pricing, my list price, my current cost, my standard cost. I can see how many I have on hold, how many have been allocated, how many are available. And you know, some of this demo data is, of course, not the best, but nonetheless, it's here. And then also additionally, across the bottom of any of my items, I have additional things that I can look at, such as my purchases. Apparently, I don't have any open purchase orders on this item, and my sales. This gives me a listing of all the sales for this item. And if I look at my my navigation ribbon, I don't know if you've noticed this as we've gone along, but this changes dynamically depending on where I am within the solution. So, so I may have options from here that I didn't have on the onset when we started looking at my SalesPad mobile demonstration. So this just gives you an idea of what's available here. The other option that we haven't had too much of a look at yet would be that of the Sales Monitor. And it's the Sales Monitor that allows us to actually go through, as I said, from a high level to be able to see the orders that we have in each of the queues or batches that we have set up in Dynamics GP. Now, if you're a SalesPad user, you know that we leverage those batches to make our workflow queues. You can use SalesPad Mobile with GP alone, take SalesPad out of the picture, SalesPad Mobile plus GP, or you can use SalesPad Mobile in an environment that does include SalesPad as well and leverages then our workflow tool set that is included in the SalesPad solution. But from here, we can see, for example, I have let's just take our standard orders here. I have 23 documents in my standard orders. The revenue associated with those is $76,292. If I tap on that option, I can see then my different queues within that order type. So within that order type, I have 20 documents that are sitting in the new order queue. I have 3 of them that are sitting in ready to pick. So I probably want to call back to the office and say, you know, I want to make some good commission here this month. Let's go ahead and get those orders picked and out to the field. Just kidding. But anyway, it does give you visibility in that way to be able to see where your orders are. And then, of course, from any any one of these choices, I could drill back on the order. Let's just say on this one for Berry Medical Center, and I could either make changes to the order itself, I could edit the order, or I could come in and move this from one batch or queue to the next as well. All right. The only other thing, and you'll notice that, as I said, this menu does change dynamically as we kind of walk through the solution. I do have now under my list options some sort options available as well. So just keep in mind if you're walking through, if you've downloaded the demo and you want to go ahead and play with it a bit, just keep an eye on this navigation or ribbon or menu, because this does change as you walk along and allows you to do additional things depending on what function you're working with at the given time. All right, so now let's just navigate back to our sales documents area. The sales documents area, in addition to giving me the ability, of course, to create sales orders, if I were to tap on my menu, I would see that I could create customers, contacts, or sales documents from here. But it also allows me to look up individual sales documents. So if I'm sitting out at a customer site and they perhaps have an invoice that they haven't paid yet, and that invoice number is 3015 or something like that, I could do a search on that document number. I can see that that document was for, and let's let this document pop open. Well, it looks like actually this was for some contracts, and we've billed for services, is looking like to me. But it would allow us then to be able to show the customer online what this invoice is for, and then if I needed to, of course, I could go ahead and email this document over to my customer's email inbox, so he would have it then for his accounts payable folks to go ahead and generate the check for us. So there's ways that the document lookup can be used as well, I think, that have value, in addition to, of course, just being able to do a simple document lookup. I think, so really just to kind of re-summarize the things we've talked about the ability to work with customers, whether it be looking up valuable customer information, doing inquiries on customer documents, creating customers, adding contacts, adding notes. We've talked about creating sales documents, being able to edit them, being able to see the AR standing of that customer so that when we're actually making this sale, we know this customer is going to be a good, solid sale for us. We've talked about looking at the sales monitor to understand where our revenues are and where our bottlenecks are in our order process. And we've kind of seen SalesPad Mobile in action. So hopefully you've been able to draw some conclusions. Hopefully that would tell you that the solution is easy to use and be able to think about using this in terms of your organization or your customers' organizations. So at this point, I think what I'll do is I'll open it up for questions. If anyone has questions, I'd be happy to address those now. Yvette, would you like to pop back on the line and see if we have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Lori. As Lori mentioned, this is our Q&A portion for today's session. If you have a question, you can either click on the raise hand button on the right-hand side of your computer if you typed your audio pin into your phones. Otherwise, it won't work for me to unmute you. Or if you prefer, you can type your questions in the question box area of your screen. Right now, Lori, I do not see any questions.
Wow.
But I do have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
We're waiting for people to type in.
Okay.